they just, it's funny, but today I was writing a proposal to a major corporation, and I almost felt myself apologizing for charging what I was charging. So I think there's a kind of assumption that they're worthy, and they have the right, and that they're competent.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here once again. I am extremely excited about today's guest, Lisa Lipkin, who honestly, it's an honor for me to have her. I will tell you a little bit of how we met, but ever since I saw her, I just got connected to her. So, Lisa, thank you so much for being here. Lisa, she's a study strategist, coach, and she will help you craft your story. She actually helped me craft my story. And she's also the host of a podcast called The Brand Called You. So, Lisa, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, funny fact, Lisa and I have never met in person, but she knows a lot about me.
I can't even believe that. It's true, but it doesn't seem possible.
That's right. We met. I went to an event, and you were giving a talk online about storytelling, and I got connected with you right away. I reached out, and then at that moment, I was studying Women Who Market, and you helped me find my story. And this was in 2018.
It's unbelievable.
Mm,
Quality research. Yes.
yes, quality research. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's get to it. So the first section of the interview is called the resume. And here I want to know two things. One, what are you doing right now? And two, how you got to do what you're doing now.
So my latest incarnation, I'm old, so I've had many different hats, is I work as a story coach and a storytelling trainer in corporations. So I take clients through sort of 2 to 4 part training sessions, and it can be everything from project managers to R&D. It really doesn't matter what department they're from, but it's really showing them what a story is structurally. Most people learn more linear structure, and I teach them what a narrative structure is. How do you use storytelling to engage and persuade listeners? The neuroscience of storytelling. How do you take, my specialty is geeks and nerds. I help, people who love data, scientists, mathematicians, quantitative finance people. How do you transform that into something story friendly? And then most importantly, how do you use your own personal memories and your own personal stories to deliver emotionally engaging material? And so those are kinds of the workshops that I do. I do one-on-one story coaching. Usually it's also part of a larger training. But people who need individualized practice, or they're looking for a new job, or they want to make a presentation. So it's a combination of training large groups and working with individuals on different aspects of storytelling.
That is amazing. And like I said, she is great. We had the first meeting, and I was wearing a necklace, and from that necklace she started digging and digging, and she found my story. So that was fantastic. And so tell me how you got into storytelling.
Well, it's funny you bring up the necklace. It was really an accident, like almost all things in life. I was trying to be an actress, and I was working in a office in a hot summer August in Manhattan, and this was pre-internet days. So all you could do is sort of read magazines that were on the counter. And Smithsonian Institute had an ad in one of their magazines for a cruise down the Hudson River that summer, a historic cruise. And out of desperation, I wrote a letter and I said, I'm a colonial storyteller. Don't you want me to go with you on the cruise and tell stories to your, just thinking I'd get a free trip. And to my shock, they hired me, but they didn't hire me to go on the cruise. They said, we're pulling into South Street Seaport. You can climb aboard, tell stories to our patrons, but then you have to get off, but we'll pay you. So I said, oh, okay. And I quickly ran to the library and got a book out called New York Folklore and Legends. And it was riveting, these incredible stories that brought New York history to life so vividly. And I memorized them, and I did a bunch of gigs on the boat, but I ended up becoming so passionate about storytelling and history that I became the storyteller in residence with a history museum in New York called the New York Historical Society, and later the Museum of the City of New York. And so for about 7 years, I was helping them bring their historic exhibits to life. And then, it kind of all started from there. I eventually started telling my own stories, but back to the necklace. When I would do workshops with young people coming through the museum, one of the things I realized was that rather than looking, there's an expression, find a needle in a haystack. I sort of realized you can find a whole haystack in a small needle, that the smaller you went, the more specific you went, the more the stories emerge. So I would say to people, tell me about your necklace, tell me about your watch. And out of that would come the most incredible stories in my workshops. And it works so beautifully with young people that I started employing it with my corporate clients, and it worked as well there too. From my early days working with young people, both in the schools and in museums and so forth, I developed a whole set of techniques using inanimate objects that kind of trick the brain into not realizing that it's sharing personal stories. So people aren't on high alert. And if you can kind of trick people to sharing personal stories, they tap into what is emotionally meaningful to them, and it's a great basis for starting any story. So my early work with young people in schools and museums and community centers really informed my corporate work later on.
That is so fascinating. And you said, so from what you just said, we've been only like 5 minutes into the interview, and I really learned tons from you. What you're saying about, like, we usually say, oh, it's hard to find a needle in a haystack, but you actually said that from the needle you can find the haystack. That is exactly what you did with me, at least.
Yeah, and it's actually the biggest problem, I think, in the corporate world is everybody always, they're always thinking, like, how do I deliver all of this data? When in fact, what they really want to start with is something very specific and personally meaningful, and emotion, and then just hang the facts on that. And sometimes you can just start with a memory, like just a specific memory that's meaningful to you. You can always find a way to deliver facts. The harder part is to identify what is your core value or what means something to you. So we use a lot of these techniques to do that. Yeah.
Fantastic. So since we're talking a little bit about how you got started into what you do, this is the perfect segue for the next section, which is called Adam and Eve. And I call that section Adam and Eve because it's like the quickest representation or the quickest connection that we can make with the relationship between men and women. So of course, my company is Women Who Market, because I'm here because I want to help all the women to kind of enter to the professional world with confidence and conquer their dreams. But that doesn't mean that I want to put down men or I don't like them. No, I love my husband, I love my dad, my brother, and all my friends. But I've learned that we have to learn how to work with them, how to grow with them, because we're not going away and they're not going away. So here I have two questions for you, one related to men and one related to women. And it's simple. It's throughout your career, what key things you have learned from men and women?
Wow. it's quite a broad question, but I think what fascinates me about men in general, and remember, bearing my age, it's generational to some extent because I'm 62 now. Um, they're the kind of self confidence that they have, and often for no reason. They just, it's funny, but today I was writing a proposal to a major corporation, and I almost felt myself apologizing for charging what I was charging. So I think there's a kind of assumption that they're worthy and they have the right and that they're competent. I think that what I've learned from men is that I have a right to more than I think I do, and that I am much more competent than I think I am. I think they've really taught me to have balls and confidence and assume that I know what I'm doing. So I think that is. And I mean, I hate to say it, but sometimes they have too much confidence given their lack of talent. And that always fascinates me.
There is a study that said that men will look at a job description, and even if they meet like 50 or 70%, like if they don't meet 100%, even if you just meet halfway, they still apply and they still think that they're a good fit for that role. When women, we read everything and we don't feel that we check it 100%, we wouldn't apply.
It's interesting. I just gave myself a adult bat mitzvah about a month ago. I don't know if you know what a bat mitzvah is, but sort of.
I do know, but I didn't know that it was an adult one. But
Well, in my day, I was in a conservative movement, which was it was a little bit more religious movement than the reform movement, and women were not allowed to get bat mitzvah there. So quite a few women my age now are saying, "Wait a minute, it's my time." But the reason I bring it up is I I had to make a speech, and I had to sort of think about why I wanted to do what I was doing. And I started to think about all the messages that were given to me, not just that I didn't have the right to have a bat mitzvah, but I was thinking, you asked me about women. Like my mother taught me a lot of strategies in how to get power covertly, not overtly. So she used to say to me, she's Hungarian, she'd say, if you want to hook a man, sit at his feet and tell him you love his tie. I mean, the truth is it works. Compliments, right? But and I was thinking about you were talking about Adam and Eve. I love studying the Torah, and I do it. I'm a sort of amateur theologian, and there isn't one woman practically that I could think of in the Old Testament who gains power in any overt way. It's all covert. It all has to be clandestine. So I also learned that manipulation is a tool of the powerless, not the powerful. And that's been very interesting for me. I mean, it's a sort of negative lesson that I've learned from women, but also, I don't fault women for stealing power when they had to. Um, and it's something I'd love to be able to not do in my own day. I'd love to be able to claim power in an overt way, not a covert way.
I I can't even begin to like formulate my thoughts from everything that you said, because I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
When you were talking, I immediately thought about I've worked in software B2B with men since 2015. So basically 2 or 3 women and then the room full with 100 men. And then in technology, it's data, software, so very cut and dry. And it was hard to break that communication wall of, hey, I have this idea. And I actually, and I still adopt that passive communication that you're describing, because I've been working in software for a while now, like 8 years. My technique now is to actually communicate things in a way that I know I tailor my communications to each man, that I know their style. So I will deliver my communication in that style, with the hopes that they pick it up and then they kind of like turn it into them so that they can like buy in it. But so I did that for a long time. And now what I'm doing, unfortunately, I'm still doing that because the men still thinks like, oh, this is like the way to go. But what I've noticed recently, that is actually a change in me, a change on like me being confident with the things that I'm proposing. I'm still delivering the message the same way, but I'm being more assertive. I'm not
Mm,
like letting the men to kind of sit on it so that then later they think, oh, this is my idea. I'm being more assertive of, I'm
mm,
communicating your way. I hear you. Here is a better way. And then if they don't like kind of see it, like I'm feeling more and more confident to say, hey, I think you're definitely wrong, and I think we need to look into this.
yeah.
But that took a long time
Yeah.
to do. And I'm still not like 100%. I still let go of a lot of things.
Do you find it generational? Like when you're talking to a younger person, they're more readily easy to accept a woman in authority? Or do you find it's not specific to generations?
Um, Great question. And I don't even know if that's where English as a second language come into play,
Mm,
because with the older generation, sometimes I leave meetings without really knowing if they got me or if I got them.
mm,
Because maybe they're like, oh yeah, that's great, but I don't know if it's like a yes, that's great, or like, yeah, that's great. But I think I don't see it more in the generation. Maybe it's more of, I'm still learning the meaning behind the meaning. When people deliver messages in corporate meetings. So, and honestly, with younger people, I think it's the same, because the younger people behave how they were educated by their parents. So we still are in that phase.
mm.
Yeah.
And what about cultural? Like, is it different in South America, for example, where you're from?
Yes, very different. However, I have never had the experience to work professionally in
Yeah,
South America.
yeah.
So I can relate to the family and the friend relationship, which is very different to my family and friend relationship with my American and European friends. But corporate, I haven't been able to experience that yet. Yeah, yeah, awesome. But great things that you learn from both of them, and like learning, you never stop learning, right?
Right.
So let's move on to the next section. That since you like to read, and you are very, very well educated, I'm gonna test your knowledge, and it's called the dictionary. And I'm going to tell you 3 words, and then you're going to tell me your definition, whatever comes first. Okay. So the first word is health.
Elf?
Health.
What? Health. Okay. What does it mean to me? I think it's a full combination of spiritual and physical collaboration and connection. So the two have to be working together.
I like it. Collaboration and connection. I like it. Okay, what is your definition of prosperity?
Yeah, I think it used to be money, and now it would be just having enough to give me spiritual fulfillment as well, obviously, as well as material. But I think, enough material foundation to give me peace of mind and spiritual fulfillment.
Amazing. And what is your definition of love?
Wow. I think what I strive for is something is completely with abandon, that there's no withholding at all. To be able to express and to receive with complete abandonment, I think.
Meaning, when you say abandonment, meaning
Like
you're
not
not
withholding,
expect
no holding back, no holding back, just
no
complete. Mhm.
no expectations. I heard I can't remember the name of the person, but he's like a motivational speaker, and he says, be open to everything and attached to nothing.
I don't know if I agree with that. I love attaching.
But then if you're attaching, if you love If you're giving love without any holding, how are you gonna get attached?
Oh, I thought you meant attached to people. You mean attached to ideas or?
Attached to nothing. Like, for example, with relationships, I'm gonna be open and I love you, but I'm not gonna be attached to you, or you don't have to be next to me just because of
Mm,
you.
that's an interesting one.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I ask about these three things, health, prosperity, and love, is because, and especially for women, I think regardless of what we do, we kind of want to go to those goals. But what health, prosperity, and love means to me, it's different than it means to you and to many other people. So that's why I'm doing like this. I'm asking all the people that come to the interview for their definition, to just compile different perspectives. Do you think that those three things, health, love, and prosperity, are like the main goals that we have?
Who's we?
Women.
Oh, I think it's so individual. I mean, right now I'm in New York City, and I think a lot of women, I really think it depends on your capacity for survival. Like I realize, like in a country like America, where people aren't guaranteed health insurance or housing or anything else, I don't even think they have the luxury of thinking that way. If you have housing, healthcare, and education in place, and you're not wondering where you're going to live, then I think we can begin to start thinking about that stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because depending on people's stages in life. Yeah, I would agree with that. Awesome. All right. Well, we're moving forward towards the second to last section of the interview, and it's called the gift. Oh. Okay, why it's called the gift? Because I truly believe that we all were born in this world with a gift, a talent, something that we're good at. Some people recognize it right away when they went to school and they saw somebody playing soccer or singing or acting, and they said, yes, I want to do that. Other people like me, that it takes us years and years to find our talent, and we're still finding it. And some people that actually maybe never find it. Do you think that through your professional experience, your work, through everything, you think you have found that gift? And if so, how was the experience, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that it's taken me a long time, but I think that I've recognized that one of my gifts is I have sort of like highly intuitive radar, and I can kind of really feel where people's most powerful emotional stories are. Like I know how to interpret their memories or narratives in a way that I think is very helpful to them. And I think it came from just I had a sort of difficult mom growing up, Holocaust survivor, and I had to read between the lines all the time. And I think people who grow up in that way, we develop our radar. And I think I was able to hone it now in the corporate world. So I think my intuition and my kind of witchy radar about what people are feeling, it has worked in my favor as a gift.
And that is a wonderful gift, because intuition is not something that we all have.
Yeah.
And you found it, and then you channeled it, and you explored it. So that's great. So that being said, I think in the mail you got a little gift from me.
Beautiful.
Yes. So that is a gratitude journal that my mom painted and made.
Gorgeous. I'm showing
Yeah.
your.
Yes. I think it's there. There you go.
Sorry.
Awesome. So I love to give journals and books and things like that, because I think sometimes the best way to get out of your mind is just to start writing things. I myself have practiced gratitude, doing a gratitude journal since 2011. So that's just a gift that I want to give to you because of your time and just for being here and sharing so many wonderful things with us.
It's funny because my parents are old now, and I started practicing gratitude as a way of combating all the negative feelings, and it's such a wonderful tool. And I love that you gave me this book, and I'm going to completely use it.
Please, please do it. Do it. I think you and I are in a similar situation, not similar, but yeah, taking care of our parents and mothers-in-law. And I think this practice of just every day, just looking at three good things that happen really makes me go to bed in a better mood and makes me start the next day in a better mood as well.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Glad that you like it.
I love it. Love it.
Okay, so to finish up, we have a fun section that is called Luck or Destiny. Why luck or destiny? I think, for example, meeting you is a perfect example of this. I always ask myself when good things happen to me and when bad things happen to me, and I'm like, is this luck? Is this destiny? So I wanted to incorporate this in the interview, and I want to see if it's luck or destiny that you share something else with us. So I'm going to share my screen, and you're going to pick one landscape from there. And then that landscape is going to have a question.
Maybe you can describe it like a storyteller for me.
Oh, okay. Well, you are better than me at this, but okay. So um, a place near the ocean. B, a sunflower. C, a landscape. D, a place that had snow, but yet a little bit of sun. And then E, a place with a lot of trees. And F, a place is like a lake with flowers.
And what am I basing my choices on?
You just pick one landscape that you like, and then that one will have the question that you're going to.
One that's a little snow with sun.
Oh, you know what? When I said that one, I was like, I think you're gonna pick that one. Oh, I love that question. Okay, the question is, what's the craziest thing you have ever done?
Wow. I don't know if I can tell your viewers.
Okay, so what's the craziest thing that you can say online?
Oh God. I remember once running through the Plaza Hotel with a friend of mine, stealing the peppermints off of the chambermaids' trays when they weren't looking and eating them and running down the stairs and giggling. That doesn't sound too crazy, though. I've crashed bar mitzvahs that weren't mine, that I wasn't invited to.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I went to, I remember, yeah, and even about a year ago, I was at a college alumni party for my university, and the food was so bad, we just went downstairs to another university's party. Yeah, I'm very good at crashing parties in which the food is better.
That's awesome. You have to teach me how to do that. I've never crashed a party ever.
Confident like you belong.
Okay. Well, I have to go to New York to meet you in person, and maybe we both can,
please.
and then we can crash a party together.
What's the craziest thing you've ever done?
A lot.
Oh,
A lot of things that I don't think I can say.
one small thing.
A small thing. Craziest thing I've done. A small thing. Oh my God, all these big ones are coming to mind. Oh my God. Okay, maybe no, I'm not gonna say that. I think the craziest thing is moving here to the US.
That's right.
I mean, at 17,
Yes.
chasing the love of my life. No, that wasn't the love of my life. Leaving like my parents behind. Like now looking back, and I see people age 17, 18, 16, and I'm like, how did I left at that age?
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I think that's the craziest, but also the most rewarding one, and I'm so glad that I did that. Thank you for asking.
I love it.
Well, Lisa, this was amazing. Thank you. I will share your information with everybody in case that they want to get better at their storytelling, and I guarantee you that she's going to find your beautiful story. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
And best of luck with your business. It's wonderful.
thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. I'll see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.